into this world, I became airborne for the first time, as my loving parents tossed me up. The subject in the photo is yours truly, and there started my unstoppable journey. Little did we know that in 1984, with the same happiness, I would be jumping off of an aircraft and landing on ground. My parents, I'm very grateful to them that they protected me, they caught me, and that made me unstoppable. Folding my hands, keeping them on my heart, I bow with great reverence and gratitude. The divinity in me bows to the divinity within all of you here and the creation. In a familiar word, Namaskar. I was born in a small town in Maharashtra. My father, a professor in civil engineering, and my mother, a homemaker and an artist. And they firmly believed that all the three children their first priority was education, naturally. Father was a professor, so it had to be. Rest didn't matter. Let me introduce myself. I'm Dr. Captain Ritu Biyani, and before you guess, I'm 30 years old with 36 years of experience. A t-shirt, which is one of my favorite, reads, "Growing old is mandatory, growing up is optional." And you all can guess my age now. I may be running to catch some flashcards in between once you calculate the age, the real age. Now this is all about going. This is all about moving. I was born in a non-digital era. And I think more than 60% here will not know how it was. Most of my youth and childhood was spent in sports, in outdoors, and with the real world in person. Soon, fast forwarding, in 1981, I joined the Indian Armed Forces as a dental surgeon. Though I come from a family of freedom fighters, we didn't have any idea what the army world is. And as a child from the 60s and 70s, my only connect was one of the Hindi movies, Hakikat. That made me so emotional that I just wanted to pick up the gun. I don't know from where I would procure it. Go to the border. I didn't know where and how it is. And just fight and die for my country. I don't know how many of you all know the song, Nanna Munna Rahi Hu, Desh Ka Sipahi Hu. I would convert it into Nanni Munni Rahi Hu, Desh Ki Sipahi Hu. And commentaries of the parade on the radio would make me march all around the house. Getting into army, in spite of being a doctor, in the sense that irrespective of being what your profession is, what your gender is, and what your rank is, we were trained to become soldiers first. Our instructors, we fondly call them ustads. I'm sure some of you all know it. Ensured that a resilience was built. They trained us for being. They trained us to fight, fend, and support our troops and ourselves during war and in other situations. Army became a way of life. I'm going and getting my cards now. One of our favorite warning advice from our ustads was, because we were all in our early 20s and Early 20s can sometimes go overboard. So ustads used to say, Josh Josh mein hosh mat kho baithna. Don't lose your senses in your over enthusiasm. And that sentence still is like a warning advice to me even at this age. My first posting was a far off place called Sikkim way back in 1982. I had seen Sikkim only in the map of India of my geography book then. My parents now were worried, understandably. So the deal was made when my father insisted that he will come along with me. I said, I will be very happy if you come, but where all will you come with me? So a deal was made. I'm talking about the 80s. I will write a letter to them every week and I will call them whenever I change the station or my place where I was working. Now calling them became a task because I had to go hunting for a STD booth. We didn't have mobiles then. As I traveled through the lands of Sikkim, the high altitude lands of Sikkim, to the border areas of Kashmir, to the arid land of Rajasthan and Punjab and Haryana, I gradually became familiar with the landscape and the lifescape of our diverse country. I was very fortunate to go and to provide dental cover to all the troops. That was my duty. But even in forward areas, I used to track their forward post, what you see in movies, like, in bunkers and all like that, to ensure that our troops were biting fit. Seeing a woman officer in those areas at that time was a rare sighting, like snow leopard. Incredibly rare. Possibly I was the first one who had gone in those forward areas. 1983. Can you go behind? This is the dental section we used to carry in the forward areas then. And I had seen these instruments and that chair only in my college museum when I was studying. So you can, now of course things have changed and technology has changed a lot. 1983, in the second year of my service, I volunteered for paratrooping to become an airborne officer. Now the saga of the maroon beret and the para wings. This was what I was before I became a paratrooper. You can see the cap. Became a paratrooper. And I'm going to tell you the saga of the beret, the maroon beret and the para wings. It is not inherited or given. You have to earn this glory with guts and grit. The good point is, once you earn it, nobody can take back. The training or going through the para probation to be selected for paras was very intense. Not just to see your physical fitness and endurance, but also to see your psychological, mental and your emotional resilience also, without any concessions. And I was the only lady officer that time for many years in the para wing. I earned the para maroon beret after doing a basic jump of about, we had to do some basic jump to get the wings. Now I got my maroon beret and now we had to get the wings. So there were basic required jump, which are war trained jumps. It's not like a weekend sport. And this also included one with the gun, jumping with the gun. And there was a technique to release it so that, we don't land with the gun still stuck there. Otherwise we would fracture our leg. And with the combat gear. And one was a night jump. Night jump in the dark. When I became a paratrooper, I didn't know then, but later I was told that I endorsed my name in the annals of Indian Armed Forces as the first lady paratrooper from the Indian Army Dental Corps. I became part of the only airborne 60 parachute medical battalion we all hear now, with the who are sent for humanitarian grounds, and that was also part of the legendary Shatrujit Brigade. Like all battle calls, battle cries, what they say, a lot of regiments have. Now, parachute is like a big umbrella. So every time we would hail, Chhatri Mata Ki Jai, and the life continued. The motto of Para Brigade is men apart, every man an emperor. Skydiving. I further pushed myself more higher, and before my parents could take a breather, I enrolled and completed my skydiving, that is also known as free fall. My parents were worried, and every time they tried to sort of stop me, I would say, "You tossed me in the air when I was a baby." I was often asked, "Woman small, why fall?" And I would merrily answer, "Sky's call, that's all." Working in the Himalayan ranges, I caught an infection called mountaineering and later trained to become a mountaineer. Now, traversing on those high Himalayas, far from the chaos of the world, I went into an outer journey as well as an inner journey. Nobody had to teach me. Like, it just happens, when you're there. And in that vastness and silence, lots of thoughts crisscrossed my mind. One thought was, in this expanse, massive expanse, I'm just a small dot. Do I really matter? And the other thought crossed over. Though I am a tiny dot in this boundless universe, my presence is unique, my purpose special. Quote me. Now, warrior spirit wears many hats and clothes. September 2000. Let me paraphrase an anonymous quote. Fate, that is destiny, in the form of cancer, whispered to this warrior, "You cannot withstand the storm." And the warrior whispered back, "I am the storm." Breast cancer came with all the deal, all the free effects and side effects, package deal, what you call these days. And I won't go into that because it will take a couple of TED Talks and a book is being written on it now. But I can only tell you that that was a time when cancer as such was not spoken about. It was a hidden subject way back in 2000. It was also a stigmatized subject. So I will skip and hop and go further. But I'll give few highlights which might also, if you don't consider it as cancer, but consider it as any setback. Like, I did not go into why me or in self-pity syndrome. And most important thing, I kept my communication open with everyone, including my then 8-year-old daughter, Tista Joseph. On the sick bed, when I was in the hospital, you're like, don't have anything to do. I just asked myself, if I had to die today, what will I regret most? And the answer came from within, not being able to live the life what I was probably meant for. Now, can people say that cancer comes and turns your life upside down? Well, in my case, it was falling in love and marriage that turned my life upside down. Cancer actually flipped my life right side up. And that meant breaking shackles, inhibiting shackles. We went on a borderless drive. We decided, because understanding the complexities of cancer control in India, we peeped into our strength. And when I say we, it is myself and my daughter. That time during the journey, she was 14 years old. So we decided that we will hit the rock bottom challenges of cancer, and that is awareness, education to common people about what cancer is. And we started a project called Project Highways in 2006. That was the first mother-daughter and first of its kind expedition to 4 corners of India, conducting cancer awareness workshops across the country. In very short, that particular expedition went into Limca Book of Records No, that's for me. Thanks. I drew 30,220 kilometers solo to 4 tips of India in 177 days. And we conducted several workshops, almost more than 200 workshops during that time. After that, there was no looking back. Our borderless drive is to empower people, impact lives before, through, and beyond cancer. Why did I take my daughter? 14 years old, 9th standard ICSC. She had journeyed with me from the time she was in my womb. And when I told my family that I'm taking her for that expedition, you can understand what explosion was there. It raised eyebrows, and I was labeled reckless, irresponsible mother. But I stood my choice. In my case, academics had shaped my profession, but it was the outdoors and the sports which actually made the persona what I am today. And I, apart from the mission angle of that expedition, I wanted to gift my daughter that exposure, not to clone me, but to take her own path as she grows up. I wanted her to be courageous enough, curious enough, explore, question, and carve her own path as she moves ahead in life. What we call transforming travel into an immersive, informal, educational journey. Coming to fear, courage, bravery, bravado. People sometimes describe me that I am fearless. And some people here know what was happening to me outside. The truth is, smart people also get scared. Taking challenges comes with its inbuilt risk and fear. Now, fear is natural, essential, and an honest emotion. Let me share 2-3 small incidences. 1984, when I was standing at the open door of the flying parachute high above the ground, I was all prepared, all trained, all prepared, all set, all excited to jump out. Suddenly I was gripped with fear, and something in my brain shouted at me, "What the hell you're doing here?" And I'm standing like this. This is, of course, during the training, but actually in the aircraft you have to stand like this. And the first person has to stand longer because till the orders come, go. My trained mind said, "You want to be a paratrooper? Now jump." The Ustad's call came, and the call when they ask you to jump out is known as green on go. There was a tap. I don't know whether it was a push also. It can be. And I jumped out. One leap and I was floating under the green canopy. That leap didn't just make me a paratrooper, but it helped me to overcome courage, to overcome fear. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's action in spite of it. That's these words. Mountaineering training. One incident. I was 25, 26 years old enough, and in uniform. And I had gone for an advanced mountaineering training, which included rappelling down. And I had done that before, but from shorter heights. Now this rappel was from very high, very steep, very dangerous looking rock face. I was just watching my other buddy doing it, and she had inclined 45 degrees from the edge. Fine, used to it, done it before. But terror gripped me. What did I do? I went and hid behind a rock, hoping that my instructor will not see me today and I can postpone my rappelling tomorrow. Fear has that power of gripping you. When I was called up and while he was harnessing me, I asked him, because he's my instructor, I said, "Sir, why I am so scared that I go and hide behind a rock? I can just quit the training and go." He said, "Fear keeps you alive. And now that you have trained yourself, don't go back, don't hide. Otherwise you will never climb your Everest." Third, the operation theatre. Just before going for the my surgery. Butterflies were doing tandem nritya in my stomach. And again, all prepared, had to go, no choice. And I asked suddenly one mind, we all have two minds. I don't know if anybody has third, fourth mind also, but I definitely have two minds. So my one mind said, cancel the surgery, go back home. Let's see what happens. And my other mind said, go in and work to live. And I walked in, telling myself, green on go, Ritu. Fear never goes. We often find ourselves in a tug of war between fear and bravery. There is a word of caution, and especially to all the youth. The choices we make can make or seal our destiny. There is a very thin line, very, very thin line between bravery and bravado. So choose what you want. These are slides from when I took an international expedition on breast cancer, where inspired by my journey, that Project Highways, Australian breast cancer survivors had come, and they were all breast cancer survivors, and we did a motorcycle ride, not from Bombay to Delhi or something. They wanted to go in Ladakh because they liked the pictures what I showed, and we did that. It was not just an expedition, but it was also to show survivorship. The lumpy, bumpy, loving journey of 6 decades of laughter, bruises, cures, complexes, setbacks and comebacks, physical and emotional battles, stigmas and honors and whatnot. Proof that no matter what age or stage you are, to truly honor the spirit of being alive till you die is your attitude towards gratitude. The last S of Yug. If that is missing, then Yug is useless, and it can smell of narcissism or self-preoccupation. I feel that gratitude should never be a footnote. It should be a headline. The word thank you just takes a second, but they light up both the giver and receiver. Maybe you can quickly just smile at each other and let's see what happens to the room. Yeah. Now all of you suddenly look very beautiful. So my grit is always sparked with gratitude to my parents, siblings, daughters, friends and universe for tolerating me and my madness, lifting me and cushioning my falls, to those who packed my parachutes, whom I have never met, and to everything and everyone that's crossed my path, including cancer and those toxic ones, I have to say thank you. Now, each one of us has a unique, innate, inbuilt life rhythm. I can't be you. You can't be me. I mean, it's known as cloning. And that will be so boring. You know, like, I don't want to see a similar thing like you're standing with me and have a conversation. There has to be difference. I may tweak and adapt something what I like in you or what will help me in my life's trajectory. But I will always be me. As philosopher Seneca says, begin at once to live and count each separate day as a separate life. Friends, you and me still have miles to go under the blue skies. Thank you. Jai Hind.